Good morning everyone, welcome to a waffle. Well, what is currently a beautiful golden hour up on Stanton Moor. Obviously conditions out here are really icy, really cold at the moment. It's about -1, -2 up here on Stanton, so we're experiencing that pretty much everywhere down in towns, those sort of zero and sub-zero temperatures. So today's waffle is all about busting the myth of what to wear on your feet in icy conditions. So you hear a lot of people say, oh, you need some grip for the ice. What you need is some really, really good traction. Now, traction is sort of defined by friction against a surface. So obviously ice, notorious for being very, very low friction. Obviously causes lots of car accidents, so a lot of people fall over in it. So it is just super slippery. So we put a big grip onto a shoe. What happens? That grip, where the sort of knobbly lugs touch the end of the, drop out the bottom of the shoe and touch the surface that we're running on, it reduces surface area. Now, what we don't want on ice is a reduced surface area, because what that's going to do is just lose that friction, and it's going to slide even more. So how do we go about it? We don't want just pure traction with a slick bottom shoe, because it's going to give us the maximum amount of rubber against the ice, and that ice is going to try and sort of connect with that rubber. So it's probably better in a high traction rubber, something like a Vibram Mega Grip on ice, than what it is in a just sort of standard hardware in road shoe rubber. So basically, road shoes, no good in ice. Grippy shoes, so if you're thinking like a fell shoe with an 8mm lug, really, really bad in ice, because you've got no penetration into ice. The only way to stick to ice, categorically, is to get a carbide tip stud, so a spiked shoe. So I'm not talking going out in 12mm cross-country spikes. I'm talking about getting a specific ice shoe. So super niche, hardly needed, so you probably would never ever buy one in the UK. It's all right if you live in Sweden or somewhere where it's sort of sub-zero all the time, or you're running up in the mountains for the winter. Then buying a shoe that will cope with those icy conditions probably makes sense. But here in the UK, we might use it a dozen times in a year, so it'd be something that you'd probably keep for about 18 years. So I wouldn't bother buying one unless you're doing loads and loads of ice running, if you live in really remote locations where it's always icy, no gritters, etc, etc. So really, what I'm saying is just be careful in the ice, because there's not a lot you can do about it. Now, in terms of ways to combat sort of like the slip, be really mindful. If there's puddles on your routes, if it's a known route and you're running through towns and roads, and you know there's puddles in certain places, they will have iced up. You stand on them, you're going to go A over T. So just be really careful of those. If there's a light covering of snow, again, just sort of try and log where those puddles are, because it's going to be really, really slippery. If you get that sort of zero friction ice with then a layer of snow on top, and then you stand on top of that snow, you will just sledge immediately. I nearly went over yesterday on Stanton Moor on exactly that scenario. So what I would do is choose well gritted routes. Choose a route, if you can, that's had sunlight on it, just to melt off that sort of frost layer. Go on gravelier surfaces where there's some texture between you and the icier conditions. So something like one of the trails, let's use Monsell as a good example. So if it's icy, that grit and gravel that's sort of broken off of that icy surface will almost work like one of those studs that I'm telling you about. So all in all, just be dead careful. If you can, run in the road where the car tracks have been. If it's been gritted, that's going to be your best chance of getting a non-icy run. So snow, very, very different. Snow does require grip. Depending on how deep the snow is, you'd want something from a couple of mil lug right through to 4 or 5 mil if that snow depth is bigger than the lug and it's not icy underneath. So you do need grip in snow. Now, in terms of on the trails, if you're on the trail right now, again, do you want that big 8mm lug? No, you don't. You want 2, 3, 4mm lug, just to sort of bite through that frost, to handle those little bits of sort of gritty terrain. So if you look at the ground I'm running on, the grip will be sort of grabbing into this. So grip on something like this will work, and will work better than no grip. So we're not looking at friction at this point, we are looking at biting into those hard frozen textures. So that's where grip does work. But you don't need a massive one because there's no penetration. It's just going to be uncomfortable on your feet. So good bit of cushion, protect yourself from those icy conditions. And obviously if you're running in the fells, if you're running somewhere really natural, yeah, you can get away with a bigger grip if you know the ground's going to be softer, but chances are that's going to be absolutely frozen up as well. So yeah, the sort of mountain style shoe, and something like if I was running on Stanton today, something like a Speed Goat, maybe a Mafate would be a perfect choice with you know, that really good Vibram Mega Grip friction compound, as well as a decent lug to get sort of between the textures. So hopefully you've got something from that. It's blinking freezing up here, so I actually can't feel my fingers right now. So I'm going to cut off the video and say see you later, but just be careful in the ice because it is notoriously slippery. See you for later.